everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the 2 Count. And tonight we are going to talk about a topic that, as you know, is near and dear to my heart. All Elite Wrestling. All Elite. All Elite. So, we had actually planned on having this discussion earlier in the week in California. As a matter of fact, I have about a 30-minute episode that I may cut up a little bit for a blooper reel because it was an absolute testament to Murphy's Law. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And there were some really funny segments in there that would be more of a blooper than an episode that's a real conversation. So what I'm going to do, I'll cut those up, I'll put them on Twitter, I'll put them on Instagram, maybe I'll even do a blooper section of the channel. But I think that this topic deserves a little bit more of a formal video. So unfortunately, Dave, Kyle, they're not around tonight. I'm going to have the conversation with you, and I look forward to your feedback on it. Today we are going to discuss a potential exodus from WWE. There's already several talents who have asked for their WWE release, or WWE fears will be asking for their release. And there's also a couple whose contracts just kind of slipped onto the rug. So before I jump into that topic, I ask you to please like this video. We're covering AEW, we're covering WWE, we're covering Ring of Honor, we're covering New Japan. We're trying to be the most complete wrestling program for you in terms of a talk show, and really look forward to having conversations with you on all fronts. So like this video, really helps us out. Subscribe to the channel. So it's no secret at this point, it was very early in this week, that 4 talents from WWE have in some way, shape, or form asked to be removed from the WWE roster. Those 4 names, Mike and Maria Kanellis, or, oh my god, I'm going to say it very, very carefully now, Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett. He should have never been Kanellis. That was the worst thing that they could have ever done. I cannot believe that they even did that when he came in. Way to pigeonhole a guy and make him subservient to his wife's last name because she was more famous. Anyway, and then the really big news was that Dash Wilder, Scott Dawson, the top guys, the Revival, they're very unhappy. No shit, no surprise. Absolutely wasted since called up from NXT. They're also a fear within WWE that they'll be asking for their release as well. So that being said, it's not a coincidence that all of this is happening at the exact same time, right? Just about 3 weeks ago, All Elite Wrestling announces that they're going to be opening their doors, they're going to be a new promotion, and boom, 4 talent are starting to get ready to leave the company. So let's look at them one by one. So as you know, the Revival had an amazing career in NXT. I believe they were 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions. They're probably one of the fiercest tag teams around right now. They're an absolute throwback to, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. There hasn't been a tag team like them in quite some time, and they pull it off so well while still making themselves somewhat contemporary. At the same exact time, while they were rising to success through NXT and making their debut on Raw, the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes were calling them out on being the Elite with the hashtag FTR. Well, last week, Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson actually filed the trademark for FTR, which starts to make you think that their mind is moving about having ownership over intellectual property, meaning that if they need to take their brand onto the independent roster, they'll have some piece of their brand left, which would be hashtag FTR. On the same note, earlier this week, Dash Wilder changed his Twitter handle to his actual name, Daniel Wheeler. So you could start to see that they're starting to put the ball in motion to be able to move themselves over to the independent scene while still maintaining as much of their identity as they possibly can. His tag team partner, Scott Dawson, posted the quote from Rocky, where Rocky was talking to Milo Ventimiglia, who was playing his son at the time. And Rocky does the quote, "It's not how hard you get hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep going." That whole quote, that spiel about life. So both of them talking potentially about what their life would be like outside of WWE. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, you had seen that there was some sort of bickering back and forth between the Young Bucks and the Revival, and it's actually pretty clear that should the Revival leave WWE, they've always wanted a match with the Young Bucks. So the chances of them moving to All Elite Wrestling are very, very high. And honestly, All Elite Wrestling needs them right now. All Elite Wrestling, as the roster currently stands, has 2 tag teams. They have the Young Bucks, who can't put the title on themselves right away because who's going to want to work for a promotion where all the guys are giving themselves the belts? Or SoCal Uncensored, who I would assume would be the first guys to take it. But again, being the Elite castmates, they're going to need to diversify their tag team roster, and the Revival gives them a fantastic injection into that roster that, at the end of the day, gives them literally, no pun intended, the top guys for AEW. I am sure that WWE is shaking in their boots that although they know that they weren't correctly utilizing the Revival, they don't want the Revival to go there. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out over the next couple weeks. No one's been granted their release yet, as far as I know. There was supposedly some altercation backstage after their 75th fight with Lucha House Party. No one really knows the exact details of that altercation, but what we do know is that the Revival wants out, AEW would want them, and the timing's coinciding perfectly. So fingers crossed that the top guys will be in AEW, battling it out with the Young Bucks, battling it out with SoCal Uncensored, and potentially another tag team that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Now, moving on to the other piece of news. Now, this one is a little bit more confusing. So, while the news broke that WWE officials feared that the Revival would be leaving, there was actually another news source that broke that Mike Bennett, the Mike Bennett from TNA, the Mike Bennett from Ring of Honor, the Miracle Mike Bennett, had requested his release alongside his wife Maria Kanellis, another guy who has been seriously underutilized. Now, I'm on the fence about this one, just slightly, and I'll tell you why. Now, yes, he's been completely underutilized, but at the same time, Mike Bennett had suffered a serious drug addiction. WWE nursed Mike Bennett back to health. WWE stuck with Maria Kanellis during her pregnancy and labor. Both had jobs. Both were being taken care of by the WWE. So part of me feels like this is a little bit of a slight to WWE for taking care of them when they needed help the most. And now that they're healthy, they're like, well, we're not being used, we want to leave. So I can't tell you with 100% certainty that this rumor is true. Maria Kanellis Bennett came out on Instagram in a very long post. I will actually post that tweet or post that Instagram post in this conversation so that you guys can see exactly what she said. But the gist of it was that you can't believe all the rumors that you hear, that she pretty much despises whoever leaks those rumors because they're completely factually inaccurate. And she seems to be very content with where she is. I honestly have a lot of respect for the Bennetts. They're very real with themselves. So, you look at social media as a whole, people tend to be plastic, people tend to be phony. You don't get what's in between each picture, you just get the smile, right? You get the beautiful picture on the beach, you get the picture with their family, you get all sunshine and rainbows, right? But life isn't sunshine and rainbows. And the thing that I applaud the Bennetts for is they are very, very real and transparent on their social media channels that life is not sunshine and rainbows. As a matter of fact, Maria will actually take side-by-side pictures of what she looks like with makeup and what she looks like without makeup. Find me many women that are going to do that. It's going to be a rarity. So, now, if they are leaving, it makes absolute sense that they would also be in line to go to AEW, and I'm going to tell you why. Mike Bennett and Cody Rhodes have a history. They had a very long feud on Impact Wrestling where it was actually Mike and Maria versus Cody and Brandy. One of the people that Cody had on his list to face when he left WWE, the independent talent that he saw as the best, the top, the cream of the crop, was the Miracle Mike Bennett. So, needless to say, that should the new shredded version of Mike Bennett leave WWE alongside Maria Kanellis, they will also be headed to AEW, and honestly, AEW could use them as well. And I'm going to tell you why right now. Mike Bennett, well, I don't think, given the names that we've seen coming to the AEW roster, could fit in at the upper end of the card against Kenny Omega, maybe the Lucha Brothers, Cody. I don't know if necessarily he ever really climbs to the championship caliber, but he can be a serious mid-card guy, build a faction around him. Maybe he can prove me wrong and excel. You know, they really are building their mid-card as we talk. You've got Joey Janela, you've got MJF. I think Bennett slides in there perfectly. And also, when we're talking about the women's roster, yes, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opportunities for them to get talent, but I would almost put a Maria Kanellis signing along the same lines as I would put a Chris Jericho signing on the male side of things. And I'll tell you why. Maria Kanellis is an established female veteran talent. Right now they have Britt Baker. Right now they have Brandi Rhodes. Both amazing talents. But a lot of the other female talent with big names out there are completely locked up under contract. So should we go out and get a Maria Kanellis, now you have a former WWE superstar with a history who's carried a division for Impact Wrestling. I think she would be an amazing get, and she's also friends with all the guys in the Bullet Club, so I could see that going that way. In other news, there is a former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, big gold belt, that is also potentially ready to sign with AEW. Believe it or not, he's actually a friend of a family member, so my brother-in-law knows him very well. His real name is Jake Hager, but in WWE he goes by the name Jack Swagger. Swagger has come out and said that he's very interested in AEW, and AEW is very interested in him. Swagger's making his, I believe it's Bellator debut, and he's going to enter into the MMA world. Do not be surprised to see him be incredibly successful there. Guy is an amazing collegiate athlete. We're not talking about a Punk scenario where at 37, 38 years old, 36 years old, he's picking up training for the first time. This is a guy who is going to be entering a heavyweight division in Bellator, who I honestly see a tremendous amount of success for. But should he go into Bellator, just like Bobby Lashley did, he's looking for that company that he can bounce back and forth between, where he can do a reduced pro wrestling schedule, maybe a 70-30 split, 70 to MMA, 30 to wrestling, and I think AEW offers him that. So the cool thing here is, 100% transparently, guys, I think Jack Swagger is one of the next names that you'll be heading to AEW. He's long cleared from his WWE contract, so he's a guy that could plug into the roster right away. He's a bona fide heavyweight threat. Yes, his mic skills aren't fantastic, but again, he was also reading from a script. So let's see what he looks like when just given a few bullet points to get his point across, and when more of an emphasis is placed on what's being done inside the ring, as it seems to be the plan for AEW. The next bit of news: Nic Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler, is free from his WWE contract. If you don't believe me, go over to Twitter, go over to Instagram, look at @HeelZiggler. It no longer says Dolph Ziggler, it is Nic Nemeth, and he seems completely focused on his comedy. However, if you take a little look deeper, go to the Pro Wrestling Tees page for the Nemeth brothers. There are now 3 to 4 t-shirts up for what looks like a tag team between Nick and his brother Ryan. So earlier in this video, I was talking about AEW's tag team division, right? I was talking about having the Revival. I was talking about the Young Bucks and SoCal Uncensored. Well, you might have the Nemeth brothers being added into that conversation. Now, could Dolph Ziggler absolutely become a... Hi, Ava. My daughter's paying attention. My daughter's down here. She's inexplicably up. Could Dolph Ziggler absolutely be a bona fide member of the upper card for AEW? 100%. But I think he's also going to be looking to use the platform to help develop his brother Ryan, who is also a former NXT talent. So if we're talking about another potential roster addition to AEW, I think Nic Nemeth's your guy, and I'm excited to see how he is as Nic Nemeth versus how he was as the show-off Dolph Ziggler. But over the next couple months, what you're going to see is him doing a whole lot of comedy until his WWE contract clears. There is also reports of a lot of disgruntled talent. Now, WWE has nipped some of that talent relations issues in the bud. Finn Balor was a name that a lot of people expected to be headed to AEW. Finn Balor is now in line for a massive push, obviously facing Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. Apollo Crews, another big name that could have left, but also randomly getting a push out of nowhere. You know, it's great. If someone would have opened a billionaire would have opened a wrestling company 10 years ago, maybe wrestling would have been good again by now. But Apollo Crews is getting a massive push. So WWE is fully aware. They're a little paranoid. They don't want to start losing talent, and they will sign up anybody they can. As a matter of fact, a mandate came out that if a talent brings an AEW contract to WWE, WWE is prepared to double the offer. Think about how insane in the mind Vince McMahon is and how afraid he is right now of All Elite Wrestling, that he's willing to double offers on people that maybe he was just lukewarm interested in. This is going to be incredible for Balor. It's going to be incredible for Styles, who's going to get more money than he would have ever dreamed of now. It's going to be incredible for Apollo Crews. Literally, at the end of the day, all of these guys who were thinking about leaving are going to get boatloads of cash thrown at them. So at the end of the day, it comes down to does AEW want to match that boatload of cash? And does the talent really want more creative freedom and the ability to grow? So, now, I want to take this conversation one more area. We've heard about the disgruntled talent on the surface that could be potentially leaving the WWE for All Elite Wrestling, or at least putting their resignation letters in or their papers in to make that jump eventually. I want to talk about some names that could be upcoming that could be disgruntled as well. To me, when we're looking at the roster, there's several very talented guys who have been completely underutilized. The first would be Dustin Runnels, Dustin Rhodes. I think that Goldust is going to want one run at his brother's promotion before his career is over. So I would not be surprised if we see Goldust make the jump to AEW as the natural Dustin Rhodes. So that would be the first one that I would be looking towards. The next one would be Ty Dillinger. I see Ty Dillinger in a very similar light to I see CJ Parker, right? While Dillinger had more success and was certainly a lot more over than Parker was within developmental, ever since coming to the main roster, Dillinger has been completely unremarkable. Not his fault. The guy's not featured. If you actually follow him on Twitter or Instagram, he's highly engaging. He talks well. He talks a good game. I think if given the TV time, given the right people to put in the ring with, they could have pushed him to the moon. His 10 gimmick was completely over. But again, WWE botched. I think Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, who I thought were leaving until WWE gave them a show, should just do Miss Talent on their show Botchamania. Like literally each episode should be based on a new talent. Botchamania, Finn Balor. Botchamania, Ty Dillinger. Botchamania, Matthias Clement, why isn't his name coming to me? I'm sorry, Tyler Breeze. Botchamania, Fandango. Botchamania, Samoa Joe. And just show their trajectories from NXT to the main roster. Done. Great show. Anyway, so I think the next guy we're going to talk about leaving is potentially Tyler Breeze. Matthias Clement. Tyler Breeze is a fantastic talent, completely underutilized. I think you put him as another one on your list of guys that could be out there. Additionally, his tag team partner Fandango, another guy that could be on their way out. The Ascension would make absolute and complete sense for me to leave WWE. Now, I don't think that AEW is going to be interested in everyone, because the last thing that they want is to be known as the place that is just a house for all of WWE's lower card rejects, right? So I think they're going to strategically pick who they take. I think they would take Breeze. I think they would take Fandango. I think they obviously will take Goldust. Those are guys that I think are definite locks to be taken. I'm sure there's other guys like the Ascension that the ruling would be back and forth on. Guys that I think could potentially go eventually, Andrade Cien Almas. There was actually a rumor this week that Almas told his former Los Ingobernables partner Rush not to sign with WWE, and instead Rush signed a contract with Ring of Honor. There was someone else that he also pointed away from WWE. So Almas internally, rumor is pushing people away. My suspicion is if he's pushing people away, he himself will be out when the time comes. I also feel Shinsuke Nakamura will be there within the next few months. So they've got a lot of great guys from WWE positioned to move there. So as I said when this video began, the mass exodus of WWE has officially begun. with the birth of All Elite Wrestling. Well, that's it for this one, guys. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's 1:30 in the morning. I felt I wanted to jump in front of the camera, have a conversation with you about everything that's gone on this week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who do you think will be joining All Elite Wrestling from the WWE roster? Do you think Vince McMahon's scared? Do you think he's running scared? Do you think he'll start to really go into overdrive in terms of booking top, promoting or pushing top indie talent? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you agree with what I'm saying, if you don't agree with what I'm saying. Again, I ask that you please like this video, please subscribe to the channel. We look forward to having you guys kick out with us here on the 2 Count. Until next time, I'm wishing you guys a good night. Bye.